All right, let's do a very late update here on the FJ62 project. So at this point, I'm pretty much ready to put the body back on the frame. I've done as much on the frame drivetrain as I can really at this point. And, you know, I kind of need the room in my shop as well. So putting the body back on, not only is it going to be sort of a mental milestone, like it's going to feel like a lot of progress, but I get half my shop back, which is bonus. All right, so let me just flip over here and let's take a look at the project. All right, so here we are. You can see I've got the gas tank off. I pulled the gas tank while the body's off to make sure the gas tank is good. It was holding gas. It wasn't leaking or anything like that. But again, at this stage of the game, it's never going to be easier to get off than it is right now. I went ahead and pulled it off. Came off pretty easy, actually. I always thought I was going to have to fight with some rusty bolts, but actually they came off pretty good. I suspect that apparently there was a recall done on these tanks. I'm guessing this was done because it's in such decent shape. I don't know if you can really see down in there, but it's a clean tank. There's a little bit of tiny bit of rush flake you can hear down in there, but nothing significant. And really, you can't even get to it. Both of these chambers are baffled off, so you can't get outside of there. So if you had a rusty tank, honestly, the only way I can see you doing it is pulling the plug and just continuing to flush it out again and again and again, and that would suck. Failing that, you probably have to cut open the tank and then re-weld it later, which would also suck. All right, so let's take a look here at the rest of it. You can see I've got drive shafts back on. I didn't really record. I took a few pictures of it and posted it up on I Hate Mud about the replacing the rear main seal, which I did do because, again, it's never going to be easier than it is now. It's still a job. It wasn't leaking, and I was sort of saying to myself the whole time, man, I hope this is worth it because it's not leaking. You got to pull the transmission, you got to pull the torque converter, you got to pull the flex plate, then there's another cover, then there's like 6 different things you got to get out of the way to get to it. But I got the rear main seal off, and it's a good thing I did because you could just take the rear main, you just grab the edge and just twist it, and the rubber just breaks apart. So it was not long for this world anyway. Got that swapped, got everything back together, starter back on. I've got all new tie rod ends all the way around, 555 stuff. Everything is kind of lining up good. Let me take a quick, you can see once I get the body back on, I've got plenty more sheet work to do. But if you can see here, there's still a lot of work to do down here. A big thing to do down here I need to do is get under here, clean this off pretty good, and put some underseal on here because you see all these little patches. There's little tiny gaps, and I'm not going to go and completely weld up everything because this is perfectly strong the way that it is. So all I need to do is waterproof it to make sure, you know, I'll keep all the grime out of it. So that actually that aerosol can undercoating is pretty good stuff. I've used it on other projects. Takes a bunch of it. There'll probably be 80 or $100 and that stuff. But you know, what are you gonna do? Go buy a whole system and do it somewhere else? This is not concourse kind of restoration stuff where the guys sandblast the whole thing. That's not what this is going to be, but it's going to be it's going to be fine just the way it is. It's going to be waterproof. It's going to be strong. So, you know, so get the fuel tank back up in here. and drop the body back on the frame. To that end, I ordered a whole set of the polyurethane bushings from 4x4 Labs to go all the way around, and I ordered the hardware and spacers for an additional 1-inch body lift. So that should put, between the OEM springs and the body lift, I should be at about 3.5 inches lift, which should look pretty good. I'm going to put 31s on here to start with because I've got stock gearing and I don't want to, you know, damage the transmission. Got the exhaust system pretty much, this is just temporary hanger to keep the back end straight, but I've got the exhaust system kind of prepped. It's not an OEM system, but I was able to refurbish these down tubes, cut off the old nasty stuff. I got Toyota O2 bungs that I'm going to weld on there, and I'm going to make sure this is all nice and clean, hung properly, you know, when I get it all back together. Got my stainless steel brake lines all the way around. Oh, before I forget, if you see that little arrow there? That arrow does not mean forward. Thanks to somebody in the I Hate Mud forum who pointed this out to me. That arrow, when I went to Old Man Emu's website and dug up some instructions, that arrow points to the stationary mount point for the leaf spring. So yeah, works fine on the back because they're in front of the spring but not in the front. So I'm gonna have to drop the springs, spin them around, and mount them back up. That plus symbol means that this spring is slightly above rated weight, which if we go to the other side, the symbol is slightly different. But what those are, it's tracking the rated weight. So you see here, it's a 0. So what that means is that spring over there is rated slightly above the rated capacity versus this one. So you put the one that's slightly above it on the driver's side because that one's always going to have weight on it. And that's where we're at. So I'm expecting 4x4 Labs on their website says up to 6 weeks processing, perhaps. I don't know. I'll have to find out this next week how long it's going to be before I get all my bushings and everything. Once I get that, this bucket here with the chain in it is so that I can cut a couple lengths of chain and come on and pick the body up again using the seatbelt mount points. But the big crazy chain that I had before was too hard to use, so you know, Harbor Freight, hey, I always got a 20% discount, so I got 35 feet of chain for $30. Pretty good in my opinion. And what was the rated? It's a rated strength of this guy. It's 1,900 pounds. So this body probably weighs 800 pounds. So I think we're good. So yeah, that's where we're at. I'll get another update when I actually have something to update y'all about. Anyway, take care. Talk to you later.